So I've been working in the field of youth and community development for the past 10 years as a volunteer in different professional capacities.
And how old are you now?
26.
Oh, you're a baby still.
Yes. I'm a young woman, not a baby, I'm a young woman. And I've decided that it's time, after speaking to a number of mentors, it's time to now do my work in my own name. And still collaborate with a number of other entities, but I formed the Teocah Dove Legacy Foundation, which specifically our aim is to combat social ills facing society through intervention and research. This year and next year, I'm working on the Phoenix Project, which is an evidence-based social intervention treating with at-risk and vulnerable groups. So we're working specifically with young persons residing or who were placed at juvenile institutions, and it's to create a holistic behavior change through psychosocial, mentally stimulating intervention. It sounds very Einstein, but it's not that. It's a really nice intervention that we've created, and from that we intend to create an intervention model to treat with at-risk and vulnerable youth across board. So we will further, at the end of the project, we will then create findings of the project, create the actual intervention model, and hope to train persons in NGOs how to apply the model and treat with at-risk and vulnerable youth. The model could be used anywhere. I would say within the Caribbean, the model could be used across board, but of course this project builds on a project of bold leaders. So they've used this intervention model in a number of continents across the world, a number of countries, across the world. And I thought it best to do the model in a Caribbean context, facing our culture and surrounding the issues that we face, because all issues are different. Issues in conflict zones like Latin America, close by, are different issues within the Caribbean. And then from that, tweak their model to create an intervention model that fits our culture. So yes, it can be used across board, but it's more, for this perspective, for this instance, it's more Caribbean, Trinidadian culture that we're working with. At the age of 16, I started volunteering, joined the Voice of an Overcomers Club. And the experiences as a young volunteer, I made an oath to myself that I will never work in any other sector but the third sector, mainly NGOs, international development organizations, and so forth. And as such, through the years, all my work I've done for the last 10 years as a volunteer going into a professional would have been towards the advancement of humanity. More so my focus, vulnerable women, vulnerable and at-risk youth. That's my main focus. Yeah.
But it started at 16.
It started at 16 years and it came through. I've worked in a number of organizations. I've served with the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. I'm still a member, although I'm not quite active at present. I've also served as country coordinator and a director of Partners of the Americas Trinidad Chapter. I am presently Trinidad and Tobago's representative in UNDP's Caribbean Youth Think Tank and director of partnerships and donor funds for the Caribbean Youth Policy Institute. So I still work on a number of NGOs as well as my foundation. So my recent award would have been the Queen's Young Leaders Award. Before the Queen's Young Leaders Award, which would be 2015, 2013, 2014, I am also a Chevening Scholar. So I would have also gotten a Chevening Scholarship to study for my master's based on my service again to humanity, my volunteer service and my work on the ground in communities and with at-risk groups and youth and so forth. So the Queen's Young Leaders Award is basically, this year, for the first time, the Queen has decided to give an award to 60 outstanding young persons within the Commonwealth who have contributed to their communities or the advancement of their society, whether that be at a community level, national level, international level. So I was honored this year to be among the first 60 Queen's Young Leaders, and this goes on for the next 3 years, so applications are open now. Young persons who have been volunteering and giving back to their community, you can either nominate persons or you can apply yourself and try for the Queen's Young Leaders Award. That's interesting. I would be quite honest. A few years ago, when I was a bit less experienced, more naive, I an interest in politics. And I always said, in 2020, I will enter politics. I said that to myself a while back. Right now, I have no interest in politics because politics right now is very divisive and nasty. And people are not realizing that, yes, there are political parties vying, but I think in a general sense, they're all vying towards leading and advancing our country. And as I scroll my timeline on Facebook, I'm seeing people acting as though a political party is their new nationality. And that allegiance is making people do a lot of silly, nasty, hateful things. And as I told someone today, I'm not that mature as yet to disregard such actions, and it's very hurtful, divisive, toxic, and it's not something that I think I would want to involve myself in at this time, because it can get the better of you and it can also get the worst of you. So for me right now, politics is not an option. I have a lot of philosophies, but if it's one thing that I have as my center in thought, it's from Hasvat Abiola, who said that peace comes from giving all that you have and all that you are towards advancing the greater good. But it's also creating that space for others to contribute the best that they have and all that they are. And for me, that basically means that a lot of people, and that's why I really deal with at-risk and vulnerable groups, a lot of people have potential. We all have potential within us. But a lot of persons live their lives without their greatest resource and their potentials being acknowledged, realized, tapped into. And I think it's important for us to, in advancing our own lives, assist others in realizing their dreams and advancing their life as well. Because I say something and I repeat it every chance I get. We all speak about development in Trinidad and Tobago, but we will never advance as a nation, no matter how much money we have and how educated half of the population are. We will never advance until our most vulnerable and at-risk groups advance as well. And it's very important for us in our respective lives. I'm not telling everybody, as I always say, I'm not saying that everybody has to aspire to lead an organization or an NGO or something like that. But in our daily lives, each of us, if we contribute towards advancing one life or helping one at-risk or vulnerable person, then we'll be working towards a greater Trinidad and Tobago. Because if at-risk groups, so groups at risk means society at risk. And if our groups remain at risk, no matter how educated we are, no matter if we form the 1%, we will all be at risk. So we can only advance as a country when our vulnerable and at-risk groups advance. And I think that would be my center in thought, ideology, philosophy. Teocha is fearless. Teocha is fearless. Yeah, I don't toe lines well. I don't toe lines at all. I tell you my mind. I'm very honest. I'm very blunt. Sometimes it comes across as rude. But I am very honest and I'm very loyal. And I'm the voice of truth when you need it. Best time when I finished my thesis, my master's thesis, graduated, went traveling around Europe. It was fun, it was relaxing, it was understanding a new sense of self and a new sense of agency. And if I could go back, I think living on my own, doing my master's was the best time for me because I grew into myself, I understood myself, my sense of agency. I grew up as an only child, so with my parents, and I really understood that when you're comfortable, you don't really know yourself. You never find your true self because you're not challenged, you're comfortable. But when I had to live on my own and manage my life, every aspect of my life, I really understood myself. I grew as an individual. And I really formed my sense of self and agency. So that was the best time. That time and then traveling throughout Europe. Worst time? I would think the worst time would have been during my dissertation period. I got really ill. It was like a downward spiral of like all kind of things battling at once. And I had a fear that I would not have finished my thesis. I can just give you a little background on it. I was working really hard So we were in the library like from 9 in the morning until like 2 the next morning kind of thing. And I started feeling really fatigued, really sick. Like there were days I would spend like all day, just like 3-4 days in my room, not doing anything because my mind was blank. I was like a real burnout. So I decided to go to the doctor, school doctor, realized that, okay, no, you have to go to the hospital because we not understanding what's wrong with you. Went to the hospital for 3 weeks, they couldn't get any blood at all. So every day they were checking me. I was like a needle cushion. So they were checking me, no blood. And then I sat in the hospital one day and I was like really just down. And a Trinidadian nurse walks in, like in the middle of Bristol. There comes a Trinidadian nurse. She's like, why they can't get blood from you? Something is wrong. I was like, well, I don't know. They're not getting any blood. They try everywhere, you know. And she strapped my hands really tight and we started laughing and she got the blood, right? And then they found out, and when they got the results, I was anemic, right? So I am anemic. So, okay, they treat for that. Yeah, eat a lot of spinach, take your iron tablets, great. After that, then speaking to my doctor, and she was like, you have a lump on your tongue. I was like, yeah, but I was okay, you know. She was like, no, you're under our care. You have a lump on your tongue. Went to the doctor, next letter, went to the doctor again. The consultants were like, we don't know what this is. And this is scary, you know. I was like, okay. All this time I'm writing my dissertation. This is last year, this exact time, August. He said, okay, so they went. I had to do a biopsy, take it out an operation. This is now 2 weeks before my dissertation is due. I can't eat. I had to move out of my flat because my lease was up. So I had to go stay with my friend Janice, who took really good care of me during that time. I couldn't eat anything. Every time I tried to talk, because I speak a lot, as you realize, the stitches would burst and my mouth would start bleeding. So I didn't want to go to the library because everybody would be like, you know, pity me kind of thing. So I was back in her flat all the time. And I think it was fate. And I always tell people the prayers of my great-grandmother. And if I wasn't strong and centered in God, I would have gone literally out of my mind. But that was really like a period of understanding that I don't fight my battles, God fight my battles, because through it all, I wasn't worried because I didn't want to worry people. I think my family didn't even know the seriousness, the depth of the situation. But I was a bit calmed knowing that I'm not fighting this battle, it was God fighting this battle, and this is his battle and it's already won, that kind of thing. And I finished my thesis, handed it in, graduated with merit, so I'm really good now. But yeah, that was a kind of like everything hitting you at once. Yeah, Teocha's a little girl. That's hilarious. I did every single thing. So I did every single thing and dropped out of every single thing. My poor father. Yeah, so Teocha's a little girl, and that is one thing I think I credit my parents for, in that I was allowed a sense of authority during all my years. So I would choose everything. I would be like, I want to dance, I want to do gymnastics, I want to do karate, swimming. Did I leave out anything? I wanted to do everything, and every Monday morning my father just had to find money to do this and do that and do the next, you know. I had a really engaging, fun childhood. It was fun. I went to St. Catherine's private school. It was really fun. I engaged in a lot of activities. Then through my teenage years, again, I engaged in a lot of activities. I wanted to go into the military. So my father, then I went to Barbados and trained with the Barbados Defense Force as a young cadet officer. Yeah, those are the kind of things that my father was paying for me to do during the summer. Then the next summer I wanted to do media training, so he sent me to Edison Carr. So I had a really engaging childhood, but more so everything I said I wanted to do, my parents and most of my father, because he was the one that had to spend the money, but they were like, okay, go do it, you know. And they pick me up, drop me. My father picked me up, drop me off, carry me, put me on a plane, that kind of thing. So I was allowed to really realize myself, although it was a bit costly to them, and also go through the journey of finding who I am and what I wanted to do. So I started, first of all, thinking, right, I wanted to go in the military. That did not work out. Again, I don't do well with authority. And then I was like, yes, journalism and media. Did my first degree in journalism and PR. And I realized, it's really what the editor wants or the head of news wants to be said that actually comes across. I was like, can't do well with authority there. Then I did media and comm, and then I still had that yearning to serve, you know, and I wanted to use media to tell the stories, but there wasn't really, I mean, film, it's not that much funding, you know, all these different things. Then I said, right, gender and international relations, I'm already connected within that realm of things. It's easy and I'm good here and settled. So I think that takes you from childhood to 26. My mother and my father, harder days. I would say, and that is something that I always tell parents. I mean, when I did common entrance, I went to St. Catherine's private school, did common entrance, and I passed for one of those makeshift schools. At the time, Excel. It was like one, you know, at that point in time, there was zoning. That's in New Year, they started zoning, and they made all these new schools up. Right. And my father just really got me every opportunity I needed to excel. You know, I keep on saying my father. Not that my mother isn't there. My mother's there fully well. No, my mother's there fully well, but my father had to pay, pick me up, drop me. He had to do the investments, pick me up, drop me. Thing. Mommy make sure I had lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all packed. Yeah, but when I passed for there, I mean, I went to the school for the first 3 years. I was an A student, straight A, B plus student, really good. And then we decided I wanted to go to Shigona Senior Comprehensive. And people were like, Shigona Senior Comprehensive, worse yet. No. I went to Shigona Senior Comprehensive, did O levels and A levels, graduated valedictorian both times, played football, had fun, went on to do my 3 degrees. I now have my 3rd degree. I'm a Chevening Scholar. And really, what that says is, a lot of young people think that where they come from defines who they are. I went to a senior comprehensive school. I live in what you call a crime hotspot, Crown Trace Enterprise. Labels don't ascribe themselves to me. There's no label on me but excellence. And that is because, one, I'm a child of God, and I'll stress that. 2, I have a praying great-grandmother. She'll be 100 this year. But more so, my family pretty much invested in me to make me realize my dreams. So it's not where you come from. It's not who you are. But it's love. It's support. You know, even my aunts, when I was in England, I have an aunt, Auntie Joycelyn, and Uncle John in England, and my Auntie Verna, who's in Bristol. And as soon as I landed there, my aunt made sure, she was like, don't come here with any clothes, you know, that was the instruction. You know, I still have suitcase of clothes that I haven't even worn. And she got me all that I had to get for school. When I landed in Bristol, my Auntie Verna, every Sunday, she's by me with like a table full of food. You know, so it's love and support, and that's all young people need to realize their goals. A lot of parents like to direct and say you have to be a doctor or a lawyer or these things. My parents never told me what I had to be. They invested in me, supported me, and allowed me to reach, to achieve and reach my goals. Even as an adult now, you know, I'm doing a project, another project, a private project, so I can't say what it is. And my father drove me here today. My father drives me, and he would park his car in the yard and drive my car, you know. But my mom, when I had some work to do when I went on the far side, my yarrow and stuff. Get up for o'clock in the morning, make all our lunches, pack all our lunch, like a big cooler. Water, juice, vitamins, everything for the day. You know, and my father would drive me, that kind of thing. But yeah, support, I think support and love, and that's what children look for. And that's why young people go to other persons and they become vulnerable and go to other people for love and appreciation because they don't get at home. But yeah, never really get licks. A few times, but you know.
Well deserved.
Yeah, but no, I had a good daddy, a good mommy. I love my great grandmother. She'll be 100 again, as I said this year, in a few days. My grandparents. Yeah, I had a really supportive family. I have learned a lot of lessons. Because have a sense of discernment. I'm not saying don't trust people, but have a sense of discernment and always go with your gut feeling. I think, yeah, that'll be my biggest lesson. Regrets. No. You see, the thing about regrets, and I don't mean to go into an essay every time you ask me a question, but we should never have regrets in this life. You know why? And I always tell people this. If you experience a situation that was negative, then it was a lesson. And as such, that is the positive thing that you take out of that situation. The lesson. So you search through that. Find one positive from that situation. That is your lesson. And you move forward. you detoxify your body of those negative experiences, that negative situation, and you move forward with that with that experience as a lesson. A lot of times as young persons, young adults, even older persons, somebody do you wrong or you have a negative experience and you keep it on your mind. You allow that to then take away from your positive energy towards focusing on yourself, focusing on your work, all of these different things. And it's important that, you know, we never have regrets. Take every situation as a lesson, find a positive in it, and move forward. I can't see myself doing anything else. Really and truly. Like, yeah, I can't see myself doing anything else. What would I be doing? Yeah, can't even see myself being a hippie traveling because I still want just to help people. It's a real joy, I must say, and people don't know. People think volunteering is just giving of yourself to advance the lives of others. It takes time and blah blah. No, it is so fulfilling. Like, it makes you happy, it's fun, it's engaging. I can't see myself doing anything else. Teocah Ariel Ainka Dove. Name is pronounced Trinidad and Tobago. Horns are playing. The nice orchestra is on top of Buckingham Palace playing, and I'm walking towards meeting the Queen. And I'm not dwelling on this moment because the one thought that was going through my mind was, what do I do that my next 10 years of work tops the last 10 years? And that is what my thinking was. But I first thought that this award was a prank when I saw the email that I was nominated. So walking in that moment, I think that would have been my OMG moment to date. Because it was really something that I still just, people were like, but you're real normal. I was like, because it happened, but I don't think I really soaked it in as yet because it was really a really awesome and inspiring moment. OMG.